I'm joined by Alexander Herzog-Stein of the Macroeconomic Policy Institute, linked to the Hans Böckler Foundation, a German trade union-linked think tank, and Catelene Passchier from the FNV, the sister organisation in the Netherlands for the TUC. And one of the questions that we've been kicking around today has been this myth that there is in the UK, Alexander, that somehow these German mini-jobs are responsible for Germany's comparatively successful employment record. Yeah. Is that how it seems in Germany?
For a German labor economist, this sounds like an incredible myth. Mini-jobs are really a failure, and there's a consensus among labor economists that they have been a failure. Mini-jobs is a very old instrument, initially in the 1970s, created from a paternalistic view that it would be good that women who normally stay at home in times of full employment to bring slowly into the labor market. That's how mini-jobs developed. But now we are faced in Germany with a so-called mini-job trap, because especially women in the western part of Germany often rely on mini-jobs.
They can't get out of it.
And they can't get out of it. Why? Because the way mini-jobs are constructed. Mini-jobs employ that a job where you earn up to 400 euro a month, independent of the number of hours you work, which of course puts immediately pressure on the hourly wage rate, is exempted from social security contributions and furthermore from taxes. And in Germany, household taxes are collected on a household basis. So implying, when we talk about a secondary earner in a household context, you can imagine what it would imply when you move from 400 to 401 euros. In the past, the government now even increased the border to 450 euros, defining a minimum wage. Calculations in the past were that a secondary earner would need 800 euro per month in gross earnings in a regular job to receive 400 euro net, so comparable to a mini job. And that is that's a real trap for secondary earners.
It may be important to say that trap that we always try to avoid in the Netherlands, because we, from the 90s onwards, we have promoted decent part-time jobs for everybody, men and women, and that would mean that you would have to pay taxes and social security dues over every hour worked, which also means that it doesn't make a big difference if you work 20 hours or 30 hours or 10 hours, because every hour would cost the same. Now this sounds a bit too nice. We also have some differences there that we still have to solve. But as a general approach, I think that's a very important one and a very important difference with the German system, which also means that in the Netherlands we have, I think, the highest percentage of happy part-timers, which means that people are not involuntarily part-time. They would, I think, up to 80 or 90%, 90, of part-time workers would say, I want to be a part-time worker. Not everybody is happy with the amount of hours worked, so there's still people who would say, I'd like to have more hours, and of course in the crisis that is a problem, but it's, compared to many other countries, a relatively small problem. So the biggest problems that we have are in the area of the precarious jobs that are a combination of small part-time with 0 hours and other creative forms of that employers use to avoid risks and to avoid paying lots of contributions, but not in the general form that Germany has. And I think it's very difficult, if you have it, to get out of it.
Yes, because the problem is, if you introduced it, it's very hard to change it, because you have a lot of vested interests to keep it. Even, the women who are stuck in this situation, they want to keep it because often it is the best job they can get given their circumstances. In Germany, you still often have the case that overwhelmingly women bear family responsibilities. So if there is no childcare available, then a mini job might be the best way to organize family and working life in a German context. But it is from an economic perspective, it's a wrong way. And we even know there's now statistical evidence from research that mini jobs are used as a cost-cutting instrument and is used as an effect. It's replacing proper jobs with social security
there is a kind of an incentive to reduce the hours worked per job. There is an incentive to use people that don't need between brackets, because I think the whole idea of a mini job that women don't need properly a job that is giving proper security and protection, that is, I know, a very old-fashioned idea, and I think that even in the UK people are already taking a different position on that. So I think it's really a trap for Germany, where they also have invested in what I think is a very positive thing. A lot of childcare facilities, leave facilities for parents, women and men, even paid parental leave, all of that to get out of this traditional division of labor between men and women. But these mini jobs are kind of continuing this breadwinner concept.
And I read that there's a problem with people reducing their hours to qualify their job as a mini job.
Of course, if you're on the borderline between a mini job and then in between is the meaty job, as I said, with this huge gap in earnings necessary to have the same net income, it might be attractive to actually reduce or at least to qualify. So for a mini job, it's often also that mini jobs help to reduce work in the black economy. However, there are also arguments that mini jobs are a nice tool actually to hide black economy work. Why? Because you do a regular 450 euro mini job now and do some extra hours cash. Yes.
Which makes looks like what they do in Eastern Europe.
But what you said, so with the UK being interested in the mini jobs in Germany, that's the general thing which shows how split the development in Germany and how you have to look at the history of the last 13 years and more, because we had actually two nearly parallel developments. We had the labor market reforms, which were mainly focused on increasing external flexibility by pushing mini jobs, by deregulating temp agency work, by increasing the pressure on the unemployed. That's what is well documented, well known outside, because that's also where economists feel most comfortable with. But at the same time, in the core sectors of the German economy, the industrial areas, manufacturing, car production, and so on, at the same time, a lot of reforms have taken place as well, made the German system also more flexible, but more flexible in terms of internal flexibility, in a positive flexibility, which helps workers and employers, and helped also during the Great Recession to safeguard jobs in an enormous amount. And that's the nice side of the German economy, and we should talk more about that. Unfortunately, however, also with the European context, we're looking only on this example of the external.
Would you say then that actually what we are seeing during the crisis is also that we see a danger of increasing the societies with a two-tier labor market?
In parts, we saw that in Germany as well. But although we did very well during the crisis, of course, there were also losers in Germany. And if you look who these people were who lost out, it were predominantly people in non-standard work. So people on temporary contracts, people who were working in temp agency work, those were the first who lost out, who lost their jobs. So in that sense, yeah, we saw that in Germany as well, however, on a smaller scale.
Thanks very much indeed for watching this video. The paper that we launched at today's seminar, Lessons from Abroad, written by Amna Silin, is also available at the Touchstone blog website.